The iconic yellow school bus is distinctly American. I know. I drove one for nearly 20 years in 4 states. I believe in education. I did not go to college. I did not take any education outside of the public education system. Graduated in 1985, and I had become a Christian my senior year of high school, and I didn't feel the need to go to college. And I drove a school bus with pride. I used to love driving a big yellow bus, but that goes in tandem with my love of trucks. And I loved Tonkas as a kid, and school bus driving just seemed to be a fit for me. What I didn't realize, and what would take me years to realize, is I was getting paid to work for a system that is promoting a lot of stuff that is against this. And to even say that today is to incur liberal hatred. That it is a known fact that the school system is biased in favor of the Democrat left, that it's in cahoots with Hollywood, that the school system at large has been furthering the agenda of Democrats and Democrat thinking. And I know I've recently talked about the flaws of President Trump, which he does have them. You have another assassination attempt on the president, and the liberals are now saying this is all staged. Why is it the liberals are in such denial? They push for gun control. They scream for gun control. Unless it involves an attempt on President Trump's life. Do you notice that? And if you want my opinion, after living 60 years in this land, a year of it in Hong Kong, I believe in gun control too. Take guns away from the Democrats. And then you have a great reduction in crime. And it's ironic that there's been not one attempt on Biden's life when he was one of the most incompetent presidents ever, taking first place over Barack Obama. And yet you have repeated attempts on Trump. And even I can see that whether you like Trump or not, Trump derangement syndrome is a disorder. TDS exists. You don't have to like Trump, but your hatred of him is clouding your rational judgment. I didn't like Barack Obama. I didn't like Bill Clinton. I did not like Jimmy Carter. I did not like President Biden. And I certainly am thanking God that we did not see the winning of Kamala Harris. I don't know how that woman got through law school. She cannot form an articulate, coherent speech. They called her the word salad queen. And I watched liberal news media, also fueled by Barack Obama, play the race card with her. She is half India, half African American. We didn't hear anything about her India-ness. And America, which the Democrat left has been talking about systemic racism, at the same time, the Democrat left is systemic racist against Caucasians. And I find that ironic because the Democrat Party is controlled and run by elite whites. It really is an ironic thing. All your major media is not controlled by African Americans, not controlled by Asians, not controlled by Mexicans, but elite whites who are peddling and pumping out this idea that whites are privileged and whites are the problem. Well, good. Give CNN and MSNBC and ABC and all these liberal networks to the black community and let them run them. That you're not. I got fired not because of my work ethic. They did an investigation on me at Richmond County Schools in Augusta, Georgia. I'm different, but my work ethic is solid. I drove school buses there. I worked as a bus monitor for a couple of years, and then my last position there was school bus seat repair, otherwise known as a fuel attendant. And most of what I did was working my butt off to repair vandalized buses by a huge percentage of troubled and bad youth down here. I had driven in Denver. I had driven in Duluth, Minnesota, and Kettle Falls, Washington, and Spokane, Washington. And I've never seen the degree of destruction on the school buses as I have here. I've never seen the degree of driver burnout and turnout as I've seen here. I've never seen the incompetence of our transportation and our school system until I came here. They coddle the bad kids and make excuses for the bad kids. Kids act up on the bus here. You write them up. I specifically remember writing up a student 38 times. Not for tiny little petty stuff, but getting up out of the seat and yelling F you to the little kids. Jumping over seats, cussing, threatening. They wouldn't remove them. The school was soft. And when he finally, not on my bus, one day I left the yard, my bus had trouble, I had to come back, get another bus. And another driver said, I'll tell you what, I'll get the back half of your route, go ahead and get the first part. That student rode on his bus and beat up a girl on his bus. Only then did the school remove him from the bus. Next day I pulled up at the stop. The lady would come up to my bus many times and just reeked of alcohol, morning or evening. This kid was not raised by a dad. And she goes, I really need you to let him. I said, no, ma'am. Your son was kicked off the bus by the school system, and I am not going to allow him to ride. One, I'd be in big trouble for that. And two, what message is that saying to the kids? I said, I cannot let him come on the bus. I did not make that decision. And she looked at me with all the alcohol waves coming off her and had the audacity to say, oh, you can't let my student come on the bus, but you're denying him access to a public education. Ooh. Here I had to shut my mouth and be a professional. I did not respond. I waited until she moved out of the way of the door, and I shut the door, and I gently pulled off. Now, you got a lot of nerve, lady. Why don't you get off that liquor? Why don't you start putting the fear of God into your boy? And why don't you worry about your own dang self? And this is the problem here. Everybody's to blame but the person who's to blame. And a lot of these mothers down here are weak. Well, they get up and fight you, but they don't have the backbone to get control of their own kids. And if I was to tell you stories of what went on down here, you wouldn't believe it. When I drove in a certain region down here of Augusta, it was communicated to me by local drivers that I worked with, born and raised, that young ladies in certain neighborhoods that I would pick up, their mother would rent them out for inappropriate purposes so they get money. I said, how come this stuff isn't busted? And the comments made, they ain't going to do anything about it. It's been going on for a long time. The school system today is not a friend of this. It hasn't been for some time. Madeline Murray O'Hara got her panties in a bunch in the 60s and took on the school system in Baltimore, Maryland, I believe it was. And she single-handedly, with her wrath and rage, had the Ten Commandments and prayer in the Bible thrown out of the public schools. Christians claim that in 1962, the SAT scores significantly dropped. People don't want the Ten Commandments posted in the classroom. Why are they so offended by the Ten Commandments? It's a pretty good policy to live by, even though people can't live by the law of God and we need the Savior. We shouldn't covet. We shouldn't murder. We shouldn't lie and bear false witness. And guess what? Society does it well. And our leaders in Washington are the greatest liars the world has ever seen, followed by the educational system under the banner of science. Evolution is a lie. Evolution is a major lie. Sanctioned, condoned, and paid for by taxpayers and so-called science. The Bible says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, not the public education system. If you want an education, get saved, be born again, and put your face in the book, and things will begin to make sense, not the other way around. There's a YouTube video. You can watch it for yourself. The school to prison pipeline. That is a real dynamic. There's another YouTube video called Indoctrinate You, the letter U. And it talks about the staggering, shocking reality the school system is staffed and run by Democrat liberals. You can watch it for yourself. This was put together by two college-age students, or one college-age student, who was shocked at what he found. I want to show you some pictures that I screenshotted off news events. I thought it was Minnesota because I drove in the 90s Denfield girls basketball from Denfield High School on the bus down to St. Cloud and Cold Spring for 3 days. Now this is Cold Spring, Alabama. Plain Jane, long-haired basketball coach, teacher, messing around with a girl on the team, sending explicit images, slept with her. And I read the comments underneath that and they said, oh my gosh, if this had been a man, they would have thrown the book at him. Now, I don't know what the outcome of this. She was arrested. But there was another teacher, 21, involved with a 14-year-old female. It says she resigned, this one here. And we're seeing a growing number of women charged with sexual misconduct. What's this woman doing with a high school girl? What about this one in Kentucky? That looks like a real sweetie, huh? What about this one? That's kind of scary looking. There's another one. Looks like she'd be a good stand-in for a Freddy Krueger movie. The media is kind of silent about the fact that women are just as bad as men. In fact, they make it out that men are such monsters. There's an alarming rise in inappropriate female behavior with male and or female students. And it does appear in our American society that females having lesbian relationship with students is treated more with kid gloves than, say, a male teacher with a female student. again, verifying, validating, and proving my theory that sexism in this country does exist and it favors the women, not the men. Sex crimes should be treated the same across the board. You're an adult, you're in a position of trust. Students are off limits for any of that, period. As a bus driver, I have had throughout the years students come on to me, females, and I did not entertain it, and I did not make an avenue for that. I'm a man, I'm a human being, but I valued my freedom as a man, my job as a bus driver, and this was not going to be. And as a bus driver, I want to say and make it very clear that a lot of parents and mothers and fathers need to instill in their children, especially women, appropriate behavior towards us adults. You got young women coming after us. I am not comfortable anymore working with teens. They have shifted. After driving out here in Richmond County, I saw so much bad behavior. I don't want to be around it anymore. But the school system, the system fired me because I gave my 2 cents on a white woman beatdown in Cincinnati. Nobody cared about her. None of this community out here cared about her. I have watched on Facebook and social media when a certain ethnicity will always talk about Trump, talk about whites, talk about racism, they'll never post what their own community did to a white woman who didn't do anything to them. And we saw this happen in Chicago with a woman burned on a train. We saw this happen in Savannah with a white woman coming out of church and a black man threw acid on her and destroyed her face and ran off into the night. We saw this with a black man who bragged that he got that white girl on a Charleston, North Carolina bus. And he was released by a black judge over and over again. And even last night, one of my own fans and subs who I like and value does not like the fact I say the black word. Why is it that this race can talk openly about us and make false assertions, but if I say the facts, they don't like it? Why can't you just say woman? Because race is pertinent to the case, that's why. And a school system follows the media. And a school system in America has promoted LGBT, has promoted same-sex toilets, has promoted transitional stuff, has promoted Kwanzaa, has promoted Islam, and they all scream and yell about this. We can't have a Bible in here. Oh, God forbid. Can't have a Bible club. And now we have this. A school teacher. Teacher of the Year award. Torrance, California, where I was raised 10 years of my life. And these Democrat liberals, you ought to see the hate in their comments. We know that when Democrats and liberals, black and white, were cheering TMZ, having a party when they heard about Charlie Kirk's assassination, they were cheering that. What the heck is wrong with people? What did Charlie Kirk do? Was he Charles Manson? Was he Freddy Krueger? Was he Jeffrey Dahmer? No. He spoke at college campuses. He had permission to challenge students to think deeper. Now you got some crazy stuff going on with supposed conservatives. You got grifters. You got Candace Owens. She talks more about Charlie Kirk than she does her own husband. That's a red flag. She's constantly verbally assaulting and accusing Erica. And it's like, what is your fascination with this? Blaming Charlie Kirk's death on Netanyahu. No, Candace, it was Tyler Robinson. You need to get off the internet, Candace. You need to go make love to your husband and focus on your husband and stop this. You've lost credibility. Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly have lost it too. And I would tell them to their face. But is the public school system a danger to America? The American public education system's been iconic. The yellow school bus is a part of the furnishings, just like the Statue of Liberty. Or, as I've said, and I'm quoting a black woman in Denver who I was friends with as a bus driver. She said, Michael, the public education system is a daycare center. That's all it is, Michael. And it's the truth. Richmond County and most schools get money appropriated per head count. Look at the salaries. The director of transportation makes over $100,000 a year. Why? They give him a taxpayer-funded SUV to drive an hour away to South Carolina. Why? You can't drive your own car? I will tell you this. I love driving a bus. But transportation wastes a huge amount of money. Richmond County's got 25 $450,000 electric buses, and they're still not rolling. Over a year, they've sat there. How much Richmond County paid for that? How much was Grant? I don't know. That was Kamala Harris's great idea. Is electric the answer? We've heard over and over how mining lithium now watch this. Democrats were silent about this. They showed videos of African children climbing into holes to extract lithium. No OSHA, no child labor laws. Lithium isn't cheap. They're so against fossil fuels. They're ruining the trucking industry. They're ruining school buses. DEF fluid, diesel emission fluid, DPF, diesel particulate filters, clog up. The drivers idle too much. The buses don't burn hot enough on a route to clean the crap out of the system. The regen lights come on. And the cost and the destruction because of liberal left policies about the need to clean up the environment. Well, if you clean up the swamp in Washington, we'd have a lot less pollution and a lot less financial waste. But we can't seem to do that. We saw the Epstein report come out. Nobody's been arrested. America has turned into one laughing joke. And I'm becoming more disillusioned by both Republicans and Democrats. Trump knows he can't run a third term. Now it seems like he's favoring his buddies, doing whatever he's doing, and I do not have TDS. I voted for him, but we never should have gotten involved in Iran. That has become a problem. We have increased the national debt again. Every single president loves to spend everybody else's money. And people in my chat are saying it. I'm starting to agree. Same bird, two wings. No one can run on integrity. No one can run on saying we will be financially conservative. Nobody can get rid of the deficit. Nobody makes term limits. No one will deal with one of the biggest, most scandalous, ridiculous things I've ever seen, that Congress can vote themselves a raise. What the HE double hockey sticks is that? I'd love to go to my job and say, hey, boss, I want this much an hour. Boss would laugh and say, well, how about nothing an hour? You're gone. How is it that people can vote themselves a raise, and they do it every time there's a crisis? Remember when Obama was at the helm and we had the subprime mortgage scandal? Congress voted themselves a raise. They did it during COVID. They always do it at the worst time. Where are the watchdog groups? Executive order's been abused by both presidents. And it's time for me to put the thunder where it needs to be put. These politicians don't give a crap about you or me. They got their agenda. They got their strong will. And we have all rallied around the flagpole. Why would Trump have Zuckerberg and Bezos in the inauguration? Zuckerberg is a weasel. He banned Trump, was anti-Trump, and if you saw, Zuckerberg was giraffe necking, trying to get a view at Bezos' fiance's breasts. Their little lacy, provocative bra showing. Megyn Kelly lost respect for me when she took her platform and clearly told the world, I have chest envy. Started ridiculing her dress at the inauguration, but was silent about Fetterman, who came in basketball gym shorts and a hoodie. I have come to the conclusion, and you read these comments involving this assassination attempt, and you can tell they're Democrats. I'm going to go make a ham sandwich. Me too. I'm going to make a cake. Oh, yeah. Patronizing this whole thing. This was clearly staged. Trump's trying to win the midterms. Trump is reaching. Trump is this. Okay. Trump has his problems, but no, this is not staged. Why is it the Democrats love that river in Egypt more than anybody else? Denial. And I will never get behind the Democrat left. Ever. But the Republican Party is part of the problem. They're not vociferous. They're not strong. We've had rhinos in there. Clowns. Mitch McConnell and the turtle Republicans. Well, the American people. All right, turkey neck, we're done. Put me in there. Oh, the media'd have fun with me, wouldn't they? Have you seen this guy? We're going to release to you footage of his YouTube channel. You want this guy as your leader? Look at the way he dresses. Look at him. Oh, the left would attack the hell out of me. The same left that encourages transgender and cross-dressing would rip me to shreds. Dig up my marriages, dig up this, and hang every skeleton before the American public. But they were silent about Kamala Harris screwing around with Mr. Brown. They didn't care that Bill Clinton was caught with his pants down under the White House Oval Office. Boy, I wonder if he has any regret. Have you seen Monica? Monica was not a catch. And I'm going to say something about women in this country. They did it to Cosby. They did it to, who was that guy? Weinstein, or what was that guy? The big guy, the Democrat leftist, Harvey, whatever his name was. Women will egg on this stuff. And then they'll wait 30 years and want to bring it out and sue somebody. Caucasian women. Well, you didn't seem to mind when you were playing the game with them then, and now all of a sudden, I was traumatized. Bill Cosby did wrong, but you waited 30 years, huh? Sheesh. We know what's going on. I've done sociological, psychological experiments just by being me and talking on my channel. The other day, I made a bold move. You put me in office, I will do everything I can to make rape an executable offense. Because there's too much of it. Rape is right up there with murder to me. The damage done sociological, psychologically to a woman or a man or anybody who's been raped never goes away. It is a death. And I had some woman getting on my channel claiming to be pious. She finally hushed up and went away. And I called her Silly Rabbit. It's funny, these women choose some really stupid and bad names for their channel while trying to promote so-called truth. Then Silly Rabbit attacked one of my regulars who is a devout, God-fearing Christian. Now we got somebody attacking me because I promoted the death penalty for rapists. Jesus didn't do that. Really? That's why Paul wrote in Romans, submit to the governing authorities, for they bear not the sword in vain, huh? Jesus flipped over the money tables and had a whip and drove out the money changer. I'd say he was a little bit peeved. Michael doesn't promote violence, but I do promote consequences. And people get away with this stuff. Rape is serious. And I don't understand the mindset of anybody who thinks it's okay to rape. How can you get off over somebody who's an abject terror? That is a demonic bunch of mess. And our school system today is under the auspices of Satan. School district has been a community. School district has been, but I've seen it. I can go back into my life and see it. School system has never promoted God. Never. The school system is a bloated piggy. It is America's largest funded daycare center. Transportation is wholly ineffective and wastes so much money in idling and fuel. Bus repairs with the new buses that are coming out are junk. I can go back to the 1980s. I remember bus 391. S-Series International Stick Shift. Man, that bus could go 75, 80 miles an hour. I could go through the gears and go faster than any of these automatics today. That bus had power. And it ran in 25 below, and this bus was awesome. They're junk today. Junk. And the school district is paying more for these buses, and they're having problems with them. And then they want to promote a $400,000 electric bus. Battery replacements between $50,000 and $100,000. And how is this feasible? You ever notice the Go Green movement in the U.S.? It means there goes the green out of your wallet. Every time they're concerned about preserving the environment, the cost to us goes through the roof. Why does it cost more? And apparently none of these educators and none of these alarmists and leftists have read the end of the Bible where God says how the world is going to come to an end. It has nothing to do with global warming. It has to do with the almighty hand of God. So go ahead and get your cloth bags, buy your Prius. You're not saving anything. God is not going to recycle planet Earth. I find it interesting as a Christian man, when I bought this wreck of a house, I tore out walls and I recycled good 2x4s and repurposed them into the house. I don't know any Democrat on Capitol Hill who lives in a mansion made of recycled materials and architectural salvage. Boom. Al Gore, who complained about global warming, has limousines and vehicles, and how his carbon footprint is massive. How about Oprah? She supports the Democrats. She funded Barack Obama. 8 mansions with HVAC systems. Wow, okay. And then she's telling people to donate to the Lahaina victims. Hey, you're a billionaire. Why don't you pay for all of the Lahaina victims to rebuild their homes? You can afford it, Oprah. Oh, no, we're not going to do that. These rich elites say a lot of inflammatory and offensive things, and they got immunity. And dumb people on the left don't see through their stuff. Excuse me, I got a nose hair itching. I used a nose hair trimmer. The joy of getting older. You have to trim my bushy eyebrows. I love it. There's a little thing you put on the nose hair trimmer and zzz. I am learning as I get older to become more uni-focused. The Democrats never were the answer. The Republicans are not the answer. Jesus Christ, God's word, being born again, being saved is the answer. This country is not going to be made great. It isn't great. The rudeness, the sarcasm, the hatred, and the threat on the internet is out of control. And I read these comments by the leftist liberals on their little ABC YouTube stuff, full of hatred and venom and no fact. I'm so sick of politics as usual. It's not working. It's a broken gridlock system. 4 years of this tyrant, 4 years of that tyrant. 8 years of this clown, 4 years of this clown. We swing to the left, swing to the right. It's the grandfather clock. Tick, tock, wrecking ball philosophy. Never come to center. Never come to center. You got one group worried about gay marriage and worried about little kids that want to transgender. Man, you shouldn't even be thinking about that. And I agree with Pink Floyd. To the public school system, he wrote a song about you. We don't need no education. We don't need no thoughts control. Dark sarcasm is in the classroom. Hey, liberal teachers, get your hands off those kids. You are destroying them. You are teaching them disrespect. You are teaching them to hate whites. You are teaching them to hate the Bible. You are teaching them to hate critical thought. You are teaching them to become activists. You are teaching them to riot. You are teaching them to do student walkouts for every liberal cause. The school system has left its original calling. Go study the Ivy League colleges. I challenge you to find out what their roots were. It'll shock you. Some of them were started to equip missionaries and pastors with the knowledge of God's word. And they become the liberal bastions that they are today. And feminism, which is the cancer of the education system and the liberal left, is teaching women to be so entitled and stuck up that to get a date, to go for a coffee date with a woman, you got to meet more requirements than an Ivy League school. And what do these women got to give men today that are so liberal and so enlightened? Zero, baby. A headache. Forget Walmart. You date most women, it's welcome to wall drains. Your wallet will be drained. We're not teaching people how to change a tire. At least when I was a kid, we had wood shop and auto shop. Home ec taught you how to bake. Home ec taught you how to sew. Now the school system is a platform for LGBTQ politics. Pro-Palestinian, anti-Israel, pro-Muslim, anti-Christian. We are paying for this. I paid my property taxes in full every year. Months later, I get another $200 bill. What the heck is this? Well, they adjusted the mill levy. Oh, the school system is charging more taxes to pay for the corrupt system. Nice. Let me run for president. Let me be in charge. I would have a formula for single-family homes, not mansions. No more taxes. No more. City sales tax, county sales tax pulls in more than enough. Why should people pay a mortgage after they paid off their mortgage? Property tax should be minimal. Support the fire department, your garbage, your street lights, okay. But the school system. I don't have kids in the school. That same school system fired me. Why are you charging me taxes? I don't agree with what you're teaching the kids. I don't agree with how you're manipulating one race against another race. That is not an education. It's a MIC education, and it's crap. Adolf Hitler did the same thing back in his day. Indoctrinating kids little by little to hate people, the ones that Hitler hated. You talk about some weird stuff. Hitler had Jewish blood in him and he hated Jews. The heck? I remember our English teacher in Mammoth High School telling us that Adolf Hitler had one testicle. Ball rage, huh? Wow. How does anybody know he had one testicle? How did my teacher know that? And the Democrats don't like to admit this one right here. School teacher hated Trump, had weapons, crashed the gala dinner, and the Democrats are in complete and abject denial. Let me tell you a reality that my viewers need to be fully aware of. If Donald Trump was assassinated, if an assassin is successful, these clowns will come out in the streets and be hooping it up over that. You saw what they did with Charlie Kirk. The police ain't going to touch him. They'll come out in the shiploads celebrating, honking, acting up. That's how much evil there is in our country when people rejoice in the assassination of somebody. Donald Trump isn't Kim Jong-un. He's not Xi Jinping. He's not the clowns that run Iran. And yet you got Americans would rejoice in him being slaughtered. I don't know if I want to live in America with that much hatred and sarcasm and violence and bloodlust. It will never happen. But if I was to inherit a big pot of money, I'm leaving. Because America's not working anymore. The tax and spend liberals, Trump funneling billions of dollars to war, I'm sick of it. There are countries I could live in. If I keep my nose clean, they ain't going to bother me. Costa Rica, Panama. You got some places you can go and have a relatively peaceful life. There are places you can walk around at night and don't have to worry about murder, mugging, and rape and carjacking. My regulars know, one of my moderators and friends from New Zealand, she goes, I never want to go to America, it's too dangerous. She's absolutely right. And I've come full circle. I voted for Trump. I don't agree with this Iran. I don't agree with him getting into debt. And I'm going to say something that's going to shock people. There is a MAGA cult, and I'm done with it. There are Trump supporters that are obnoxious people, not near the obnoxious toxicity of the left. Guy with a Trump shirt on with "We Are the Storm" harassed and threatened Sputer at the Barnyard Flea Market here in Augusta. I love the flea market. Sputer got an eviction notice. He'd been there 5 years, paid $1,000 a month. The flea market really does charge a lot of money for these storage units. He said many times the flea market made money, and I did not. But I like to do it. It was my hobby. He showed me a picture of the white guy with the shirt. Sputer cross-dresses. He's married to his wife. He wears the makeup and the heels and everything. Tina knew him. Whether you agree with somebody or not, threatening somebody, intimidating somebody, which I've had done for 11 years on this channel, by an Andrew Drescher, a disturbed human being who is a Tyler Robinson, who is fully capable of sniping somebody. And it's no joke. It takes guts for me or anybody to get on the internet and tell the truth. And I've got a target on my back for doing that, just as anybody else. I put my faith in God. And if telling the truth is going to cause me to be ushered into heaven, okay, then so be it. I think it's sad that we live in a country where you got people that cannot handle the truth and they will kill somebody just because of the truth. This deranged fool is supposed to represent education. So he doesn't like Trump. So instead of encouraging his kids to vote, we're going to say, well, I'm going to stop this process and get a weapon. And the same party is screaming about gun control. You might want to look at your own deranged people teaching our kids. Kids are not getting an education at the public schools today. They're getting indoctrinated into leftism, socialism, communism, Islam, twisted sex crap. Let me say something right now. When it comes to sex, leave the children out of it. The schools should not be teaching sex ed. They should not be teaching what is okay, what is not okay. They should be teaching kids how to survive in the world and get employment and be a productive member of society. They're no longer doing that. I believe in education. But an education that denies God and denies the Bible, and under the banner of science, which has no longer become science. Science does not disagree with Genesis, by the way. Atheism, which is a faith-based religion. Let me say that one more time. Atheism is a faith-based religion because it takes more faith to believe in the foolishness of atheism than it does to believe that God created in the beginning the heavens and the earth, and he did it in 6 literal days. I even have born-again Christians trying to argue with me about the word day. Hello. Grammatical context is very clear in Genesis. There was evening and there was morning, the first day. And God reiterates it. 6 days. Why? Because he knows the future. Oh, the earth is billions and billions and billions of years old. Lie. Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980, and some things happened instantaneously that shattered the so-called dating processes that the evolutionists claim. Radiocarbon-14 dating is not an accurate dating method. It was an invention by man that wasn't around when the world was created by God, and it works off presuppositions, assumptions. The half-life. Do we have a rock? I mean, it's stupid. When you unpack so-called science, it's ridiculous. I kept this because it was egg-shaped. A metamorphic rock. Well, there's the half-life of radiation. How do you know it's the half-life? How do you know it's not the 1/8 or the 0.001? How do you know it's not 100%? You see, make assumptions. You weren't there, buddy, when God said, let there be. And there was. You laugh at this. There's some goofy Christians, but most Christians pray, go to church, believe in paying their taxes, believe in following the rules, and are productive, good members of society. Islam, on the other hand, believes in blowing up buildings and terrorizing everybody, and Ilhan Omar can't shut her mouth, and she runs her mouth, and she supports violent causes, and she was silent about Iran with them bludgeoning people that disagree with the Iranian government. You know, I love how people are promoting systems that are hostile to free thought, while Ilhan Omar would never be elected to office in her Muslim country because as a woman, that's taboo. You talk about a poisonous mix. She's a feminist, an Islamic, and a Democrat, and an American citizen. She would never have the platform over there at all because it's a man-dominated sexist religion. And so she brings pieces of Islam. Even though she doesn't follow Islam, women are to have their place over there. Oh no, she's a mixture of satanic mess. And I'd say it to her face. Ilhan Omar needs to be born again just like everybody else. And we let these people get elected to office. a woman in the school system who has a sexual relationship with a minor woman is going to be treated different than a 25-year-old teacher having an inappropriate relationship with a high school girl who's male, the teacher being male. I want to know why. Sex crime is a sex crime. Why do they powder puff lesbian? Gavin Newsom wanted to legalize adult with minor homosexual stuff. Why would he want to do that? I have no idea. And you had Kamala Harris and you had Nancy Pelosi go to California to prop his sorry butt up so you win the election again. I didn't know our politicians are paid to do that too. Corruption in Washington is real. And I'm sorry. Cue in the Dukes of Hazzard song. Just the good old boys. All on their own agenda. All lining their wallets. All making sure their investment portfolios are intact. Just like my uncle said, the Democratic Party is true. I got mine, screw you. And yes, that also fits many Republican politicians. If I got elected one time as a congressional or senatorial leader, I'd be set for life. Even if I wasn't elected after 4 years, somebody'd ask me to be a mayor, a governor, I would have the fast track to employment and good money at that. It's really sad. Trump didn't ever even try to get term limits. Trump has not tried to get rid of the absolute corrupt. This group of people can vote themselves a raise. Huh? And they always do it when America's having financial hardship. Pay attention to that. I'm done believing the lie that the Democrats are good for America. That no. But I'm done believing the lie that the Republicans make it much better every time. The Republicans are part of the problem because they've been soft. We need radical conservatives. By radical, somebody like me who's bold enough to call a spade and talk about the elephant in the room and stop ignoring it. I lost my job for telling the truth that had nothing to do with my employer. One of these days, I'll read you what the superintendent wrote. She went into 4 videos where I did creepy videos in the yard. Mob Rule said, I think it'd be funny if you did creepy music videos. It had nothing to do with the schools. And she even admitted in there, though he doesn't make a threat to the school or doesn't say anything, drivers at transportation saw the videos and were scared for their personal safety. Really? I found out that a new employee, bus numbers were given by a lady and people who were making a racket about this. Finally found out who had the issue with me. They're all anti-Trump. They're all favor their own kind. Well, duh. And I've noticed we've come a long way. If you're Caucasian and you tell the truth about the African American community, you're done. You're racist. But they can spew, libel, slander against us. Oh, I'm privileged. I'm not black. I don't understand. That's been told to me. I did a 3-minute video. It's still on YouTube. YouTube didn't take it down. Why not? Because I didn't use the N-word. What got me in trouble was that I made mention of, what got me in trouble is it offended those leftist blacks that I work with that are not objective. Let's start right there. They can dish it out. They can make false statements, but when I come back with the facts, oh, no, we don't want to hear that. The white woman that was beaten down in Cincinnati, the black community came back and said, well, she said the N-word. I never heard her say it in the videos. And she didn't. She reached for the arm of another woman that was being beat up. What the heck are black men, which tend to dial in much stronger than whites, are tearing up a woman? What? They came out of a jazz festival. What is going on? Somebody in my chat said Cincinnati's a beautiful city. I said, no, it isn't. I don't want to live in a city where you got savage behavior. And yep, it goes on in Augusta, it goes on in Baltimore, it goes on all across the USA. But seeing something like that, that woman didn't do anything. And the media tried to bury it, just like they tried to bury Irenia. Remember, the media pushed, whoa, we got to get behind the Ukraine. Yeah, that was laughable. When the Democrats get behind something, I promise you it's the wrong thing. You better stick to this. Irenia was riding home from work and a black guy was watching her. You saw the camera come up and no reason, and got off and said, I got the white girl. Yeah, you like that, don't you? Evil. And the judge was black that let him constantly get out of jail for stuff in the past. The problem is there's a certain ethnicity that doesn't like the term pattern recognition. They like to put labels on us. They like to talk about us and make false accusations. But when we simply tell the facts based on pattern recognition, they have a complete enema over it. We are being censored. Caucasian people are being censored. I don't use the N-word. I don't support the N-word. I don't support racism by anybody. And no, including from African Americans. Your belief system against us is racist to the core. Your voting record is racist to the core. And what kills me about the African American community is a group hug. The Democrat Party that supported slavery, that supported the Jim Crow laws, that created and initiated the KKK. And you want me to believe you is credible when we have conversations? You got to be out of your mind. Go back and listen to that crappy music you're producing today and tell me why I should look at you with any level of respect. I can't. The behavior, because of your false beliefs, is counterproductive to peace and a sane and a crime-free society. The statistics don't lie. And every time there's a news event involving somebody from that group, it's that person is acting up and not following the rules, and it turns into a shit circus. Because the media makes it that. And the media takes one camera and ignores everything else and says, oh, look, systemic racism, police brutality, and the media created the news. Why did they use George Floyd? Too much attention was on Paul Fauci and his draconian lockdowns. So they used George Floyd as a scapegoat, as a diversion, and it was effective. Now we had riots from Portland to New York, from Los Angeles to Miami. Guess what? George Floyd was a criminal. George Floyd was committing a crime. George Floyd did not die by a knee to his neck. George Floyd died because what's the dang thing? The report. He died from too much fentanyl. He had COVID. And he couldn't breathe. And he was saying it before the video was shot with Chauvin's knee on the neck. The video that came out after all the damage had been done showed the other officer with the body cam video. They had put the clown in the car. And the clown did what I call the toddler thing. We see this with this community a lot. You get into trouble, you get the attention of the cops, and instead of just saying, okay, now we got to do stuff to cause a problem, then you get shot and it's racism. No, it isn't. You were told to put your hands in there and you reached in the console. That cop doesn't know if you're grabbing a gun or a weapon, and they're not going to wait to find out. Duh. Everybody put your hands up. Just do it, man. I had a cop in the 80s pull me over. I had a bunch of people in the bed of my pickup. We were going up and down Gurley Street in Prescott on the 4th of July. I had a trash can in the back. They had filled it with water and were blowing up water balloons and throwing them all over. Normal 4th of July Prescott behavior. You had girls standing up in limousines, standing out the sunroof, people sitting on the roofs of cars, and cop pulled me over. I pulled off on a side street, shut off the truck, totally compliant, and he yelled and cussed at me. I gave the license and my registration. He cussed and yelled at me. I'm like, wow, I'm not. But he wrote me a ticket for obstructed view because people were sitting on the bed rails of the truck and I couldn't see out the back mirror. He could have gave me a ticket that cost a lot of money. A point violation. He didn't. Because the Bible says a calm answer turns away wrath. And in America, men being what they are, people are going to escalate. Oh, you ain't going to talk to me this way. Well, he's a cop. And because he has a little more firepower and backing than you do, whether he's a jerk or a professional, you might want to try the soft approach. I better not see you out here again today. Sir, at 2 o'clock, I work at the Prescott Courier. I have to pick up newspapers. Well, if I see you, you better have papers in your truck. He had no right to tell me that. I hadn't done anything worthy of being pulled off the road. There were too many people in the bed of the truck. He cannot legally tell me I can't drive the rest of the day. I could have got back in that cruising traffic and had nobody in the truck, and I would have been perfectly legal. But I wasn't going to sit there and do a pissing contest with a cop. I said, well, I do have to go to work. And I was calm. Monday came, I went down to the Prescott courthouse and paid the little fee on the ticket, done with it. I could have been ugly. Man, why are you talking to me that way? Why are you cussing me out? The Bible says, submit to the governing authorities. If I hadn't been doing wrong, the cop wouldn't have pulled me over. So, boom, let's go back to first cause. And you got people in this country that believe every time they're pulled over, it's because they're racist. You were going 80 in a 25 school zone, and the flashing yellow light was going dumb. You literally were screaming at the cops, notice me. Had nothing to do with racism. And that's what happens in America. Do you ever hear people say, I'm sorry? Do you ever hear people take accountability? Do you ever hear a Democrat or the community over here that's always screaming racism ever back up and say, we were wrong? That's all I need. That's all I need, because the Bible says in 1 John something fascinating. And you see people all across strata of American society. If we say that we have no sin, we are deceiving ourselves and the truth is not in us. And we got Americans denying the truth every day. They cut somebody off in traffic. The person was cut off honks. The person who did the cutting off and was not following the rules of the road and did not show respect goes like this. I know what goes on out there. Women, men, nobody can back up. Nobody can say, I'm sorry, I was a jerk to you today. Nobody does it anymore. Funny, when I got saved, when I do wrong, I tell somebody, I'm sorry. I gave you an attitude, and I was wrong. You know why Americans don't do that? Because they don't want to. They don't care. They don't have conviction. They don't have principle. And I'm going to tell you something right now. We got all these clowns out here voting on the left and on the right. They can't even use a freaking turn signal. And you're going to tell me you voted educated? Oh, yeah, okay. And the speed limit's optional? I watched people. I came down off the off-ramp of the interstate. Two cars were playing grab ass. The light turned red. The traffic started going, and they both ran the red light. I'm like, oh, I'd love to be a cop. I would have nailed them both. You, over there. And if you leave, I got you played on the video. Pull over. I wouldn't want to be a cop, though. I drove a school bus. I know the way it is. Let's talk about pattern recognition. Let's talk about when I drove a school bus for here. Kids acting up, standing in the aisle. Hey, dude, I need you to sit down. I need you to effing shut your effing mouth. I pull over, pop the brake, and stand up. Excuse me, what did you just say? You heard me? Yeah, I heard you. Move to the front of the bus. No, I'm good. No, you're not. Move to the front of the bus. And then the sister says, don't you talk to my brother that way. Excuse me. I'm addressing bad behavior. Mind your business. Oh, no, that's my brother. I don't care if he is your brother. Stay out of it. I have watched this community heckle and jekyll and heckle and jekyll. You're a racist. How am I a racist? Because you talking to my brother? He's standing in the aisle, pretending to be surfing. How is that racist? Everybody else is seated. And occasionally another black girl would say, yeah, why don't you show some respect? I said, did you hear what that young lady said? She's going to be successful. She gets it. You know, I'm here to drive your bus. Playing race card when you're doing something wrong doesn't fly with me. Now sit down. And you, I don't care if that's your brother, mind your business. I don't have my hands on him. I'm not talking inappropriate. The heckle and jekyll. Remember the magpies? That is what they do down here. Pattern recognition is telling the truth. The school system doesn't want to hear it. Why? Because the tail wags the dog. 43 million now controls 330 million in America. 13% has more power than the rest of us. So now we flip-flopped it. Walk around it with eggshells. Treat it with kid gloves. Everybody got to be in fear. Can't say what they want to say. No freedom of speech is allowed to us while they can act up, speak up, activist up, riot up, tear up, steal up, TV up, and I got to be quiet? Excuse me. No. This book, You Shall Know the Truth, and the Truth Shall Set You Free. You want to end racism? Then listen to what some of us people have to say, what we see. I'm tired of a one-sided narrative. I'm tired of being told you're not my color, so you don't understand. Tell me that that's not racist. You're implying that because you're a certain color, that you're more intelligent than me and I'm dumb. Tell me that's not racism. All I have to do is watch. Eyes and ears don't lie. I pull up in a bus and I greet everybody and none of them respond. And then they're fooling around on a high school route. Smoking pot, acting up, standing up. and I address it. I don't make false accusations. I said, I don't know who's doing it. I've asked you guys to stop lighting up blunts on the bus. There are people on here that have complained to me about the smell. It's illegal to smoke anything on the bus. And as I'm walking down the aisle, this kid says, you ever smoke pot? I said, why would you ask me that? Because you're getting on us. I said, I've never used drugs in my life. Wrong person. And then he continued to run his mouth. I said, man, I'm not even talking to you. What's your issue, dude? What's your issue? What do you got against me? I'm dealing with a problem and now you want to run your mouth. Then we had a high school girl smell like BO every day. She started laughing like a hyena, acting up. I said, is there a problem? Yeah, you. I could not do my job in Richmond County. And you write up these cats, you go to the school, their same culture is in the school. Well, we'll have to pull the video. Then they pull the video, and then transportation says, well, we didn't see anything. You wait a minute. Oh, yeah, there's no cam in the back. You're right. Every driver black, too, told me the same thing. Yeah, whenever they pulled the video, they said they didn't see anything. I said, I don't think they want to see it. Denver schools. I pulled up the middle school. This was a particularly bad school. Most of the drivers didn't want to drive it. I picked it every year. Grant Middle School, and they got bouncy tents and loud rap music with all the profane. And what is going on over here? Oh, well, we're rewarding the kids because they did really good and they've been coming to school. Oh, wow. Wow. We never had a school party because I came to school and I tried my best. They never did that when I was in school. Coddling. Taxpayers' expense. Let's get DJs and bouncy tents in here. I get to go to school, mommy. What are these kids learning? Black girl that I see at Walmart, very pretty lady. She got a job. She always says hi when I see her. I said, good for you. You got work and you're doing well, huh? She goes, yeah. I said, I appreciate you. I said, that bus was something else. She said, they're so stupid. She said, they're so stupid and disrespectful. I never thought any of them would see me later on. I was at the Dollar Tree, and he used to ride, and a student came up, black guy. Hey, you used to drive my bus, Glen Hills. I said, yeah, I remember you. How you doing? He said, I'm going to go to the tech college and get HVAC. I said, good for you. He wanted me to know that he was going to do better. I left Dollar Tree feeling very good. Wow, I thought everybody hated me on the bus. All I did was try to make a difference and do my job. Christmas break came one year, and I got tired of trying to say good morning to these high school kids. Wouldn't even speak. Then I'm required to make them wear their mask. The schools weren't going to do anything if they didn't wear their mask. So all I did was hold the box out. The kid would grab the mask out of the box. I get to the school, there's masks all over the floor. Then I told transportation, you want us to write the kids up? I said, a principal came out of Glen Hills high school and said, we're not going to do anything, so there's no point in writing them up. We're not going to ban them from the bus. We're not going to ban them from school. Wait a minute. I wanted to shout to this principal, didn't you guys all vote Democrat? Weren't you guys all the ones promoting the social distancing, and now you're not going to do anything when they're required to wear the mask? Now it doesn't matter? Did you notice during the riots they weren't wearing their masks? Did you notice that? So much for social distancing and mask wearing as they're burning crap down and running like animals through the streets. Wasn't that interesting? Most Americans that have a brain in between the ears saw everything. And that's why Americans pull out of bad places. That's why Americans jet out. They don't want to be around that. And we've had a Hollywood and school culture that encourages bad behavior. I had an African American woman get mad at me on Facebook. I criticized Cardi B. She goes, I used to listen to you and I'm done. If you knew where Cardi B came from, she came from the projects. I said, yeah, and her music sounds like it. I said, why would you sing about your wet vagina? And you got little girls touring that. I said, come on, Dominique. Why would you encourage this? I'm unfriending you, Michael. I ain't talking to you no more. Okay, bye. You support that. I don't. It's decadent. It's disrespectful. It's unladylike. And I see as time goes on, the Bible's very clear. Men shall be lovers of themselves, to call evil good and good evil, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. Boy, do I see that. We got a Christian guy at work. He doesn't apologize when he does something wrong, ever. He doesn't even say thank you. He'll come over and say, where's this? I'll hand it to him, and he doesn't say thanks. What are you, freaking Neanderthal? And he's white. Major breakdown in our society. Major. So is the school system to blame? Absolutely. But on the flip side of the coin, you got a lot of parents that expect the school system to fix the damage that they've done. School system is not there to fix your broken kid. It's supposed to educate them, to equip. And unfortunately, our school system has become KGB Soviet era TV, promoting everything that will destroy this country. I got a problem with that. I am not anti-education. This country pushes college. Do you know how much that costs? Do you know how much university costs? Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And a person could go as an apprentice plumber and come out making $38 an hour, where the college grad comes out and is deeply entrenched in debt and will not make $38 an hour unless they go into law or something big. It's kind of stupid. You want to go into something good? Go to a trade tech, VOTech school. Go into HVAC. Go to a medical assistant and schools that give you hands-on where you can get a job. College is a waste of time. If you want authority to make a difference, start with this. Watched a Christian video years ago. A missionary reached a black man in Africa with the gospel. And he read the word and he started to become very strong and knowledgeable, and even came all the way to America to preach. And even he said, when I am saved and I have the Holy Ghost and I have the Word of God, that's greater than any college. And if you are a child of God, you can effect more change for the kingdom of heaven than the devils do for the power of hell. And we're not teaching our kids that. We wonder why kids have self-esteem issues. You know why? Because they're esteeming themselves too much. Public education needs to start with "Thus saith the Lord." Science needs to start. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Our culture knows more about entertainment and Hollywood than they do actual facts. The Bible says lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. I live in a culture that cares more about football and basketball stats and the latest rapper than they do anything of any intrinsic value. That doesn't work for me at all. Are the public schools a danger to our country? Today they are. The key word is curriculum. What's the curriculum? Who's in control of it? Where are they going with it? The Hallmark store in Duluth and the Holiday Mall, Sandy ran it. She said, "Mike, I don't know why you're driving a school bus. You should be a teacher." And I said, "How do you get that?" Because I never taught her anything. She goes, "Michael, the way you carry yourself, you ought to be a teacher." I said, "I don't see me as a teacher." And yet, people are affirming on my channel. I read this morning, Jeremiah. God is the potter. I am the clay. Every person out there listening to me, you're a lump of clay. Is your father the potter? Or is your father the father of lies? The difference will show in the trajectory. When you don't believe the truth, you follow a trajectory of denial, blindness, darkness, projecting. You're going to vote accordingly. You're going to vote in people that never take personal accountability and responsibility. You're going to hang out and surround yourself with people that never take personal responsibility. And I've tried to find ways, how do we bridge the difference between white and black, and you can't do it. This book tells me, stand on the truth. And people who are hungry for truth, black or white, are going to come to the table. We don't do what is politically correct as Christians. We tell the truth, so help me God. Nothing but. And our society is conditioning us, well, if you want a job, you better shut your mouth. Excuse me? Is that a threat? It sure is. So public education needs to start with that premise. You want to teach everybody to be an activist against conservatives or whites, but when a white gets tired of it and speaks the truth, now you want to fire them. That's not freedom of speech. I'm not a danger to the public school system. I'm not a danger to the black community. Both of them are a danger to me. That's a fact. Because of what they believe. Belief determines your trajectory. Wrong beliefs will keep you at low altitude. Right Right beliefs, you'll soar with wings of eagles. Wrong beliefs, you'll be a chicken or a pigeon, picking at trash, picking at a French fry stepped on at the bus stop. Oh, oh, oh. When you surround yourself with low-level IQ and bad musician artists that are producing hatred and rhetoric and racial epithets and demonic sounding, oppressive feeling boom, boom, where do you think you're going to go with that? Certainly not to the heights. And you cannot keep calling somebody a racist just because they tell the truth. That doesn't work. You've weaponized the word and you use it to stigmatize people. Racism is not me telling the truth about another group of people. Racism is if I hate that group based on the color of their skin and show favor towards another group because of the color of their skin. And Martin Luther King summed it up in his I Have a Dream speech, and I read it in its entirety on Facebook years ago. He said that a man be judged by the content of his character, not by the color of their skin. Why has that community forgotten that part of the speech? They voted for Kamala because they played the black card. They voted for Obama because he played the black card. They vote for anybody in Augusta because we got to get out the black vote. Not the vote, the black vote. The black vote is different than the vote. Do you notice that? One group of people, I mean, I go out there in public and they're wearing I'm black history, black father, black this. I don't wear one shirt that says white on it. I don't even wear a white shirt. Who is promoting racism? Who's building up the walls of division? Not me. Not this book. The Democrats, the media, the school system. Telling me what is offensive. Look at Baltimore. Look at South Augusta. Look around. Chicago, Detroit. Look at the crime stats. Look at who the usual suspects are. Take a look. Check it out for yourself. I have never seen a group of people in such denial as I have leftists. And on an ethnic level, I've never seen such a group of people in denial as I have Exhibit B. It always is in denial about the facts. The clown behind me is not going to be able to teach anybody. Have fun rotting in a prison. Was it worth it, buddy? You missed the president. And you went from teacher of the year to jailbird of the year. Congratulations. That's awesome. What a resume. The school to prison pipeline. Boom! There you are. There you are. Good job. You didn't learn a thing, did you? And the fact you were a teacher and what you stood for, you were biased. You were not a balanced educator. You were all the way ultra left-leaning extremist. And the school system housed you and paid you. and groomed you. Yeah. We don't need that kind of education. We don't need that kind of thoughts control. You look at the trolling. You look at the internet. The bulk and lion's share of hate comes from the left. And I've had to take on some Christians and some conservatives that have taken up that sarcasm and that hatred too. I talk passionately and I don't promote hate. But I will say this, I hate evil. And I hate evil ideologies, and I will always be bold about that. The only thing left for this clown is we can pray that he trusts Christ, and maybe a prison ministry will try to reach out to him that he needs Jesus. I doubt that'll happen, but it would be a good thing. That's his only hope now. People don't think. I'm amazed at how fast our feelings can get involved with us. One moment of operating on your feelings and your passion and anger can get you in a pot of problems. You don't get to teach anymore? Unless some Democrat clown gets in office and gives you a pardon, which I wouldn't be surprised. Scares me to think that there are Democrats in this country that would rejoice in the streets if Trump actually got assassinated. Those are the same wackos screaming for gun control. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that. I don't have to be a political scientist to make the observations I'm making. What about this? What about this? She's kind of plain, but semi-attractive lady, long hair, playing around with a high school girl. Slept in bed with her. Was it worth it? That feel good? Will she get the same crime record and the same stigma that a guy does who does the same thing? Probably not. But let's move on. People comment on my clothing all the time, and I want to comment on this. This woman actually has a good stick, but this is the way she dresses on her forum. Why? She wants to be sure that her cleavage and her shoulders are all showing, and you can tell all the makeup all over her chest and face. And once again, the eyebrows don't match the hair. And guys will tune into that because she's soft P-O-R-N. I've watched YouTube. It's fascinating. You get a woman saying the same thing I do, she'll have thousands and thousands and thousands of views. And thousands of likes, 80,000 likes. Our society is very sexist. It's in favor of beautiful women. That's not even a natural beauty. If you look at that face, that is not even a natural face color. That is not AI. That is a real person. She's got more makeup on her body than I have house paint on my house. And I bring this up because guys, they see that and they get all wound up. Oh, she's hot. Dude, she's a factory chick. She's a poster child for Maybelline and Estee Lauder and all these makeup companies. But let's go back. This one looks more natural. And she's looking at girls. And this is becoming the norm. Is the school system encouraging School system put down boys when I was young. School system would accuse boys of inappropriate behavior. Now the women are doing inappropriate things and nobody's saying anything. You had that woman, and she's married, by the way. Her husband filed for divorce. You think? How about that school teacher in Washington years ago playing around with a 14-year-old Asian boy? A guy in puberty. What was she thinking? Boys are different than gals. Teenage girls dress provocatively. And they're not aware of that, or they are aware. I had a discussion with other bus drivers years ago. We were all on a charter field trip. Different places I work had different terms for field trips. In Spokane, they were called field trips. In Denver, they were called excursions. In Duluth, they were called charters. Here, they're called activities. We even have an activity bus. A white bus, Vandura, Chevy van with the school bus body for activity bus. Teacher can get training to be licensed to drive it, like if he has speech team and he's got a handful of students and he can drive them to their event. And we were all in our 20s. And the guy said, man, I've got some good looking high school girls on my bus and they're coming on to me. And we were talking as men. And I'm going to say this, Duluth had a very high amount of very pretty Caucasian women. Beautiful, blue eyes, blonde hair. A lot of my routes had girls that would be on an equivalent of a 10 for looks. And I said to the guys, I have the same thing. But as a bus driver, we have to be very, very careful. We can't stop them, but it's how we direct the tone of that. And to admit that in my 20s, when a high school girl's got beautiful locks of hair and sits right behind you, hey, Mike, you smell the perfume, and she's eagerly talking to you through the whole bus route, don't think we're not pulled. I'm 60 now. No offense. A lot of women at 60 aren't pretty like they were back when they were in school. And it still happens. I'm not in student transportation. I told you a story when I was down in Florida that a 15-year-old was sitting with her father, and I thought they were husband and wife. South America, we were at a restaurant. I was with the family I was visiting. She talked up a storm. She was gorgeous, carried herself well. I said, what does your husband do? Oh, that's my dad. I'm 15. Whoa. We men are trying to figure this all out. That woman wouldn't have shown an interest in me. I'm not worthy of her. And she's married to a man, but she's looking at girls on a basketball team. Wow. What's happened in this country? Everything, man. It should have just been a nuclear cloud, because when you look at what's happening, we are imploding. And how about this? She's got a program this morning, something like you think you can date me or something like that. I'm going to say it and people don't like it. To me, she's a teaser. And I marvel that so many men criticize me wearing this. They won't say anything about that. You're a journalist or you're a broadcaster. What are you sending? Are you running a channel or are you fans only? Only fans. Because to me, women don't realize this. She's going to get views just because of this right here. Just this showing. It's called MPS, male penis syndrome. You're scrolling. Ooh, wow, look at that. Ooh, that's hot. Nice. Less listening of what she's saying. It's time to pull the gloves off. We can screenshot everything. I wonder if that woman has any idea how many men are sitting on the other side of their phone going, I wonder how many. People get mad when I speak the kind of truth I speak. She'll get more views and more followers just because she's a provocatively dressed female. Provocatively dressed female. And I see this all across the internet. Megyn Kelly had breast envy. That's why she tore into Jeff Bezos' fiance with her Victoria's Secret lacy bra. Thanks, Megyn. Now you want to make me look back at the pictures and see what I can see. I favor dark-haired women myself. This wannabe blonde stuff is dysfunctional and it is immature. That woman does not look any better in the hair than this. She got long hair, not dyed. And yet, for some dumb reason, Americans favor fake women. I went to Hong Kong. They're all black hair over there. I loved it. The Philippines. I love Asia. No dye. Well, now they're doing it. Everybody had black hair but Michael. Real black hair. Raven jet black hair. I love women with dark hair. Always have. Blondes? What a joke. I have never, ever dated a true blonde in my life. They wouldn't give me the time of day. High maintenance? Think I'm not worthy of them? Problem is, I love women too much. I lost my mind over this one. 6 years older than me. I was so happy, but only for a season. Now I'm 60. I live in a town that has no exciting prospects for dating at all. At least I haven't met anybody. I mean, I get a little teaser poll every so often, the one that came to church, and then she believes a raft of false teaching. It's really fun. Then you got to wade through all the ones that smoke and legitimize pot usage and getting drunk and spending lots of money on liquor and scratch cards and getting in debt. It's a very different culture. I'm not surrounded by a lot of whites anymore. And a few white women I meet, I'm like, oh gosh, no. And I've looked at dating blacks, and the black women don't want me because, well, I'm white and I'm a conservative, and that doesn't work with them. Blacks are open to dating outside their race, but not with my beliefs. I tried to immigrate her to the US. I went through a Russian immigration lawyer in Spokane. It was pretty pricey. They would not let her in. And these illegals can just flood across the border under Democrat regime, which is what it was. And I started telling my uncle, gosh, if I knew an Aussie skipper, I could put her on an Aussie yacht. She could come to the coast of Oregon. I could be waiting in my pickup. She'd get my truck and we're off. But then she'd have to live at my house and we'd have to keep another QT. This country's weird. You marry somebody overseas, you don't have a right. You have to go through immigration. But if you're an illegal, you got driver's licenses and voting rights and Medicaid. And now I got a problem with the Democratic Party. That ain't right. It ain't right. And God had his hand in this. He did not want her to come. He knew exactly that it would end in a disaster. And it took me 4 years to realize. She called me, Beth, and, oh, I have a friend named Susan in Florida. She married white man. You need to call them. I called, talked to Chris, talked to Susan. Oh, Michael, oh, I'm so glad you know Beth. You know, I told her, you need to get on dating sites so you can come to America. I said, oh, really? Yeah, we make her make dating. She didn't want to do it, but we said, if you want to get to America, you know how awesome that was to hear her friends say that. I'm on the phone in Spokane. And all of a sudden, I just picture the cartoons where I look like a donkey face with the ears. Hee-haw! You've been had, buddy. You've been catfished. You don't see it in that picture, but she was a handful and a problem. She was rude to me almost every day of the year. When I was over there, she was atrociously rude, like a middle school girl. She acted like a lot of women act over here, entitled. We went to the shoe store, and in China, you don't touch and grab stuff, and you there's a way to carry yourself. It's not like America where you go in to Walmart, grab a box of shoes, sit on the bench, and try them on. You don't do that over there. You sit down, the lady come, and you point to the display and say, could I please try those in a 10.5? She goes and gets them. She stands there and watches you try them on. They don't. Would you like to try another pair? Yes. Oh, not Beth. She lived in Hong Kong and she was not aware of cultural norms and expectations. I'm from America and I'm like, Beth, you need to stop doing that. She said, yeah, I want to try those and those. And as she's walking back, no, never mind. I don't. I said, stop. You've done this 10 times with this woman. Stop it. Find a pair of shoes. Find what you like. Decide which one you like. And if it fits, let's buy them. Let's go. She knocks her coffee over. One of the few stores that had carpet in it spills all over. I said, oh my gosh. That Chinese woman come around. Wow, you spilled that? Oh, she was mad. I said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I told her not to bring that in here. I said, how much for the shoes? She told me. I said, I'll buy them. She looked at me. She goes, I don't want. I said, be quiet. I'm done. We go out the store and she get mad at me. I said, you know what? You offended that woman. You made a mess. I'm going to buy the shoes. And you wanted them. Now, I don't want to hear any more. I had to find out that our garbage American culture has been exported around the globe thanks to Hollywood. She grew up watching every Hollywood movie, seeing every woman smart off, rebuff, and COCK block men. And she had that same mentality. She didn't want me. She wanted to be by Susan. They had worked together in Singapore for 10 years and were roomies together. And even her husband told me, I love Susan, but this crap with the Filipinos gets on my nerves. He said she started talking about it, and I said, you know what? I've talked to Mike, and Mike seems all right. I'm going to tell you right now. He's told me about Beth, and she ain't doing right. So I don't want to hear about what you guys think. Chris went out of town. She let her son drive his Toyota favorite pickup, and he wrecked it. And he came home and said, I told you don't let anybody drive that truck. And I'm sorry. I love people from different cultures, but I had to learn. I rented an apartment in Spokane. I was all into Beth. I hadn't gone over there to marry her yet. I rented from a white lady, Marion. I showed her picture that I just got to Hong Kong. She said, Michael, I don't know you, but I want to talk to you. I have a relative that got deeply involved with a Filipina. And the story that she told me, that she got over here, ran up his credit card, ran up debt, very spoiled, very entitled. Mouse, the woman that I chased, she married a guy, already divorced, already fooling around with a much older man with gray hair. He's whining and dining her. She went all over Europe. She went all over the United States. She's spending all this money. And I'm like, my friend in New England who knows of her, and his wife is Filipina, and he's got a good wife. But a lot of them get over here, they become Americanized. I remember when I was in Hong Kong, Mal said, I love you. I wish you weren't leaving. I want to be with you. Did she call me when she got divorced with him? No. She came to Georgia. Did she even say, hey, I'm going to be in Georgia? No. And I learned a sad reality. Beggars can't be choosers. So when I was over there, they wanted me because I was in their territory. When they come over here, they're not interested. They're not really interested in any man except the one, just like American woman, that can spoil them the most. When I was in Denver, I had a coworker at transportation say, hey, my wife and I are going to go with a bunch of Filipinas that they're having a shindig at the house. You want to go? One of the Filipinas was tall, long hair, had a brand new Mustang. Not one of those women looked at me. The only woman that was there that kept hitting on me was a tomboy white girl with a big chest who had military short hair. She was a good-looking body, but she looked like a lesbian. And Joe come up and said, man, I think she's hitting on you. I said, yeah. I said, not really my first choice. I dated a lot of pretty women in Hong Kong after that fell apart. That little cute thing right there, always asking for money, wasted it. One day she said, it's good, we're having trouble. I said, the immigration attorney called me and said, it's been 9 months on your case. She said, I had people with less proof of a relationship than you did, and they were done in 6 months. I called Beth. I said, you better pray. And she said to me, you know, you got to have faith. I said, you know what, Beth? I notice it's easy for you to tell me that when I'm paying for everything, I get the attorney, I come out to see you. I said, you've contributed nothing to this. Zero. I asked you to save money if this passes for a flight ticket to come to the US. And what did you tell me? That's your job. No, it is not. You want me to pay and do everything while you do nothing. But watch this. I became a simp. I was so taken by her exotic that I bowed to that. Look, I literally denied my own self just because I was so hung up over her. I still, to this day, at 60, cannot believe how stupid we get over a pretty woman. It's still there. My turnaround is much faster. When I get around a pretty woman who seems to show an interest, I immediately flip on the filtration switch. I didn't do that then. I do now. Find out their motive, find out their angle, find out where this is going before you get involved. When that Jenny came into my view, and I've had 8 years of no dating, and I'm like, wow, she's not bad looking. But to listen to her and believe wrong stuff, saying Christian men should be wealthy. Really, where does it say that? Find me the verse. If you are born again, men, you should be wealthy. Listen closely to what a lot of Christian women in our society say today. If a man provide not for his own family, he's worse than an infidel. Wait a minute. Infidel, isn't that what Muslims call us? Yep. But the word means unbeliever. And women believe that if you don't provide what they want, you're scum. Let's go back to what Jesus has to say. Tell you, my nose produces its own grease, skin oils. All right, where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Why is it for this reason I say to you, do not be anxious for your life as to what you shall eat or what you shall drink, nor for your body as to what you shall put on. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not worth much more than they? Women, you should never depend on a man to be your provider. You should depend on Jehovah Jireh, the Lord provides. And if God leads you to fall in love with somebody, notice I said fall in love. Not exploit, treat as ATM, and look at him as your ticket to financial prosperity. You were supposed to be a helpmeet to men. And it's not about me, and it's not about you, and it's not about you being rich and getting a Mercedes and having your butt pampered. that when we are Christians, that God's job is to transform us into the image of Christ, and you got these narcissistic, entitled women, and they don't do well in a marriage, and they don't do well in a relationship because they're spoiled brats and never got a spanking growing up. I have been married, and my meager income was enough. In fact, I was still putting money in the bank. No, I couldn't buy her a Mercedes, and she didn't want one. That one there, first trip I make out, see her in Hong Kong, we're in the Philippines. She said, you know, in my culture, when man married, he'd give the woman all the money. I said, well, in my culture, we don't do that. I said, I pay the bills and I manage my money, and I'm not going to start giving it to you until I see that you're trustworthy and reliable. She pout and give me a dirty look. Why you do that? I said, why would I give you money when I don't know your spending habits? Why would I turn over my whole paycheck to you and for you to blow it out your butt cheeks? I don't hate that woman. I thought I loved her. I spent $20,000 in 4 years chasing her. That's how much I was into her. I pray God comes soon. Our society's so broken and damaged. Dating's not normal. Marriage isn't normal. Church isn't normal. Job isn't normal. The only thing that's normal is trouble and hell and pain and suffering and everything. Augusta is not exactly a good dating gene pool. It is not. My YouTube channel showed me a lot of things. It's not just a channel. This channel is an education. It's an education into the mentality of a troll. It's the education into the mentality of men and women that come on here. And by the grace of God, a community of people have formed, especially on the live chat, of real men and real women where we can talk about our issues and our struggles, and it's been very positive. And I'm blessed for that. But it also shows the fickleness and the craziness of humanity. When a friend just suddenly cuts me off, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? And others are messaging me and noticing these things. What is this? I do not know. People are becoming in tune to things on the channel. People are getting hurt. One of my moderators wrote me and said, somebody on the channel told me I will be there while you go through the storm, and she suddenly disappeared. And I said, well, I wrote, and I didn't even get a response. In fact, it wouldn't even let me send the message. And this moderator said, you are the only one who has checked on me and cared. And she's far away, surrounded by the Pacific Ocean. And all of a sudden it hits me, this channel isn't just another YouTube channel. People treat things, Megyn Kelly's a ditz brain. Candace Owens has lost her flippin' mind. These people are garbage to me. They're grifters. They're making goo gobs of money, they say, and it's sensationalistic drama, lying, fake news. This channel is actually touching people that are struggling and suffering, and I don't get any big money off of it. And even my friend in Cleveland said, I don't know anybody in a channel that has the subs you got and isn't monetized. The monetizing on YouTube is a joke. He even said 5 ads on a video. He said it's disgusting. Why should YouTube profit from me? They censor things that they don't agree with. They allow death threat trolls to ride all over the internet. They don't do a damn thing. If I was rich, I would try to buy Google and shut it down. I went to the post office the other day and I noticed something. Go in the lobby of any post office, it's blue and white. A very strange looking caricature of an eagle on the envelopes for shipping stuff. And you go to Walmart, it's blue and white. You go to Facebook and it's blue and white. Amtrak is blue and white and silver and red. And then it dawned on me, it's all the same. They're all in cahoots. Facebook destroyed Friendster, destroyed MySpace. Most of you don't know about Friendster. That girl right there, that woman told me about it. Started in Singapore. Friendster had it going on. The Asians flocked to it. Did not take off in America. America doesn't like passion. Look at the layout of Facebook. Blue and white. It might as well say, welcome to Walmart. On Friendster, you could move your stuff around on the page. You could do an Asian silkscreen print over it. You could do your whole page as a wallpaper and then put your paragraph here, your photo over here. Friendster was interactive fun. You could design your page. Walmart is boring for boring people. And everybody got to get on Facebook, and you go down a church, a Baptist church, and they have nothing on their sign. They got a digital sign. Like us on Facebook. Every truck, every HVAC. Like us on Facebook. Everybody get programmed. Everybody get connected. I would like to start a social media start. I would like to bring Friendster back. My gosh. Facebook sucks. I'm done with it. Facebook is a joke. And it proves the theory I've always had. Boring people all go after the same boring thing. And then they talk about it. Oh, Facebook. Anthony told me you ought to see what Reels has become. I said, I already know just before I left. I have seen on Facebook young ladies from around the world dancing, and then this happens. And then they go, Facebook isn't shutting it down. This woman here will not be treated the same as a man who has sex with an underage girl as a teacher or coach, whatever. It was communicated to me by several African American people that there's an African American coach who was at a high school. He was given a position in transportation when he was caught with inappropriate relationship. What? No jail? No firing? Yes. The school system favors certain people. Yes. The school system promotes certain kinds of sins while accusing people of sin that didn't sin. Your school system today is owned by the media and the leftists. They encourage her to have same-sex lust. They encourage boys to be gay. They encourage gay pride. Wow. And I'm a Christian. You think I can get a date with a good-looking woman? I have to go all the way over here to do that. All the way over there. That's not my date. That was Beth's niece, Mutt Mutt. Beautiful young lady. An adult. And one day, Mutt Mutt had sent me a friend request, and she had some pictures, and I'm like, I called Beth. I said, "Have you looked at your niece's page?" She goes, "No, why?" I said, Go look. I said, "Look at the pictures." I said, "Has she got a lesbian relationship going on with somebody?" They were kissing each other on the lips, and they were on each other's lap. Why do you think like that? I said, "Look at the pictures, Beth. Do you kiss your girlfriends on the lips?" And this is happening all around the world. Mama's beautiful. She's gorgeous. No, the devil is moving all around the globe. He's getting everybody for the last day rebellion that will end in Armageddon. And we Christians, we got to deal with our own flesh. We got to deal with the devil. We got to deal with the powers of darkness. Bible says we not wrestle not against flesh and blood. That's a hard one for me because I've got other Christians being nasty to me, and I'm like, I do wrestle with flesh and blood. That's another believer, and they're acting stupid to me. Why? I'm sorry. That girl right there, prettier than most of the women my age. No dyed, nothing. No makeup, tan, natural Filipino skin. And women would say rude comments. Oh, men are just going over there because they want somebody they can boss around. You don't know anything about Asian women. You don't just boss them around. That's a lie. You want to get chopsticks and a wok thrown at you, then go ahead and try to be rude to them because they got a backbone too. We went over there because the reason I chased Beth is because I went through a bad marriage and I was in Hibbing and all the girls there were on meth and getting drunk and stupid. I'm like, man. So I chased this woman overseas thinking I'd found the best of the best. Hollywood corrupts. Feminism corrupts. That's all America's exporting anymore is our crappy culture. And I've said it and I'll say it again. Good women are taken. I have more married women or women with a boyfriend flirting come on to me than single and available. What is going on? Because there's a devil. Women feel safe being married and then leading me on. I do not understand that. And as much as I want to date somebody, I start to thank God that I'm not going through all the crap that goes with it. That evergreen tree back there was very cool. Even over there, their evergreens are just so oriental looking. Naturally, that tree was up there at the giant Buddha, 220 steps, and they're steep. There's a sadness that hits me. I liked Hong Kong. when that relationship clearly was shown for what it was and it failed, I indulged in the flesh, said, well, it doesn't matter anymore. I was thankful for my talk with my friend in Cleveland. We have a bond because we have similar experiences over there. And the good thing is, through my channel, I've made some good connections that keep me sane. I told him about some of my struggles right now, and he's struggling because he's on and off again with an Afghani woman. They both really love each other, but she's Muslim. I've talked to her. I like her. I don't like Islam. She's smart. She's lady. But she's Islam. I believe in our public school system. I don't believe in it now. Where's the Joe Clarks? They're not there. You think they'll hire a Michael Nelson to be a principal of the school? You think they'd have me on the administration of any public education with my views? No. And in fact, that's exactly what's needed. And I'm sick and tired of a group of silly people wearing MAGA hats and MAGA shirts believing they're going to make America great again. If you don't realize how corrupt our education system is, we're never going to be great again. We are going down the toilet bowl. And the Bible says it's going to get worse before it gets better. America's done. We plateaued out a long time ago. We are continually sliding into the abyss. And the world is also doing it. And God is giving me the burning to say, follow Christ. Stop following celebs. Stop following preachers. Stop idolizing me or anybody else and follow Christ. Stop believing in mere men. Stop exalting a president. The Democrats exalted Biden. Republicans exalt Trump. And it's all silly. Trump doesn't care about you. Biden doesn't care about you. Barack Obama doesn't care about you. Even other black people, I heard them complaining. Man, Obama didn't do nothing for his people. Oh, is that what it was all about? Obama did nothing for this country. He really screwed up healthcare. I know because I talked to people who did insurance verification and claims in the healthcare medical world around the country, and they said, women said, this has been a fail. Our premiums, our HMOs went up. Employers stopped giving us good healthcare plans after Obama messed with it. You don't get good health insurance anymore. Unless you work for the government, which is becoming the largest employer in the United States. What's wrong with that picture? Dating is a nightmare. Living in a country that is so sharply divided. And I know why it's divided. One group believes lies, some believe truth. But one thing I noticed it's not ringing loud and clear is both sides need to get saved. You can vote for Trump, be a conservative, flag waving constitutionalist, and go to hell. Excuse me. Dang granola, I love it, but it always goes down the wrong tube and makes me cough. Stupid. There. Bare naked is bare bad. We were doing a little self-reflection at a high-rise with a parking garage with a convex mirror. We took our pictures in the mirror. That's Irene to my left. Irene was a pretty lady. She was currently cheating on her husband with a guy that we all called Boy. He was older than me. He was a Filipino. And Beth, to the right of me, always talked about her father having an affair, and she was very angry. But she was very close with Irene. Irene was quite a bit younger than Beth. And one day I addressed that privately. I said, you go on about Irene, but you told me she's cheating on her husband. And she goes, well, yeah, she's been in Hong Kong a long time. And, you know, because your contract, you can't just go when you want back to the Philippines. I said, it's funny you like Boy. And he's cheating on his wife. And then Leo, who lived in my flat, he was married and had kids in the Philippines, and he was fooling around with Virginia. Virginia was a good-looking Filipina. She'd come in with a tabletop of chest. She was a knockout, always polite to me. And she... I gotta get some water. Hold on. I apologize for that. Finally coughed up a little piece of granola stuck down in there tickling my throat. How irritating is that? So Beth favored her friend. And then she'd say, wow, Leo cheats his wife. One day, Virginia and her started talking in Tagalog. The Filipinos are interesting people. They're fascinating. I have a soft spot for them. I'm going to blow my nose. And Beth, we left to go on an outing. And she'd say, I'm sorry, her name was Meg, not Virginia, Meg. Well, I like Meg. I said, you do? I said, you know, she's cheating. Yeah, but she's nice to me. I said, you know, Beth, you've been rude to me since I've come. You demand money. You get into my journal, you're rude to me, and you talk about everybody cheating. You're friends with Irene, and boy, you like Meg because she's nice to you. I'm nice to you, and you're rude. Why you say like that? I said, because that's the truth. I came all the way here to be with you, and you have done nothing but put me down and complain. She found out I was a bus driver, and I broke it down into Hong Kong dollar what I made. Wow, so you're not rich? No, I'm not. Wow, how are you going to take care of me? I said, we'll be fine. God will make my income give us what we need. You know what she said to me? No one would take you. You wear glasses, you have food allergy, and you don't make good money. She said that. I said, well, let me ask you this. Who's come all the way across the ocean to be with you? Name one man. She shut up. A black guy at work told me on Friday he just broke up with his girlfriend. Been staying in his house or his apartment or whatever. Something told him to look through her phone and she had all kinds of crap going on. He confronted her. Guy's younger than me, but he's solid as an ox. I grabbed the flywheel the other day that had to weigh 150 pounds. I struggled to get that. He goes here, and he just went. He said, you know, Mike, I believe that women are unstable and it can't be trusted at all. I said, no, they can't. You have to be with them for years in order to establish trust. And I said, and we're stupid because we just buy into, oh, they're pretty, they're interested, and we just believe a bunch of lies. These women that flirt with me on the channel, and then when I get into my Discord and they're gone for months and weeks, you think that they're not messaging 9 zillion other men on the internet? Of course they are. Or fooling around in their own town. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so busy. Oh, somebody break up with you and now I'm looking good again? It's a joke. Faithfulness with the internet? Are you serious? If I have a girlfriend I care about, I want her on the channel with me. I don't want our separate private lives. I want her part of my world. I want her to know what I'm doing. I have felt insecurity for many years. Most of the damage that has come to me, that has affected me to this day, has been done at the hands of not men, but females. And I never turned gay. I still want a woman. I'm stupid that way. I don't care what anybody says. A gay or a lesbian relationship will never be the fulfillment of what God intended. Though I'm fascinated by the sensuality and eroticism of lesbian women, it's fascinating. It's very fascinating because I have noticed with Caucasian women, they're better lovers to each other than they are to us. They'll lay there in bed and do nothing, but when they're with another woman, oh my gosh, they come alive with passion, and it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's a very strange dynamic. The passion, the tenderness, the sweetness, the sensualness. And with us, it's a joke. I made better love with foreign women than I ever did with an American female. In fact, let me rephrase that. I had sex with American women. I made love with Asian. Why is there such a major difference? Because of what people believe, because of what they've been taught. Women have been given a privilege card and a pass card that I will never, ever, ever, ever have. If I was female with my build, I had nipples and breasts, and I was out there down and out, there'd be any number of men that would take me into their house and give me a free ride and take care of me. If something happens to me here, not a woman out there is going to give a crap. That is what I believe. I'm friendly to people, but I know in my heart when the chips are down, that's when the real buck starts. And God has brought me to a point where I realize I spend more time talking on here and to people than I do to Him. That's foolishness. Not one person, not one woman, not one man can do a dang thing for me. Only God. I have gained some friends through this internet. Haven't met them face to face. And they do check on me through the phone. It's very sobering. I grew up being a flag-waving, patriotic, 4th of July celebrating American, but I've also seen this country turn its back on us. I've seen the media, and I agree with what Tony said yesterday. The media needs to be shut down because it's just creating nothing but problems. The media has created the rise in hostility and violence against whites, conservatives, Christians. And I've said it, Trump is not perfect. Trump is making some huge mistakes. And for all you Trump supporters that don't like to hear me say that, back up your little Tonka truck. Because he's not infallible and he does not walk on water. And I'm getting tired of both sides. The Democrats don't admit ever that their president screwed up and is wrong. Never. I'm Michael Nelson. I'm not going to give anybody just a free pass. Part of objectivity is recognizing the truth, even if it's something you don't want to admit when it makes you look bad. Trump, what he did doesn't make me look bad. It makes him look bad. It makes me look bad when I excuse it, justify it, and rationalize it. He's a man. Just because he's the president doesn't mean that everything he does is thus saith the Lord. Number one, he's not a Christian. Number two, he's got us in a big pile of poo. And I shudder to think if the Democrats get in, they're going to be evil towards us. They're going to get revenge on us. I have concern about that. We're not the ones shooting up the place. They are. They control the school system. The same school system that fired me for freedom of speech. I didn't use the N-word. I didn't say I hate blacks. I did say at the close of that 3-minute video, the next time I move, I don't want to live in a town where that's the majority race. Because it doesn't work. We have corrupt politicians here. I'm sorry, but racism exists against us. Why would I want to live in a town where they don't like us and they're ganging up against us? And crime goes up, corruption goes up, real estate values go down. Who wants to be around that? Not anybody with a brain. If you want proof of what I say, take a look at successful black people and look at where they move. They don't move to the hood. They don't move to Baltimore and South Augusta. Oprah, Maxine, where's their houses? white areas, upper end neighborhoods. Why? Because they don't want to put up with the bull crap. That's why I laugh when the Democrats are all against the wall of Mexico, but they all got walls around their gated mansions. God, hypocrisy. I'm not racist. I was all over that girl. Flat nose, dark features. I loved her. I loved her like a little doe. And it exploded. I say it all the time. What's love? I don't have any pictures of me like that with a white female. Never would. Never. I look content, but I didn't know what I know now. I'm getting tired of a certain element of society saying that I can't talk about a certain race. I lived in China and I was a minority. I live in Augusta and I'm a minority. And I think it's funny when the minorities can talk about us all day, all night, and the media's on their side, and the school system and Hollywood's on their side. But we can't say anything. What part of censorship do you not understand? I got so low. I came back to Augusta after all this foolishness. And I paid a couple prostitutes. Thank God I didn't get VD. Boy, I was fortunate. One of the women that I was with was a black woman, and she was absolutely stunning. She wasn't like the other prostitutes. She didn't have track marks. Her name was Africa with a K. She had a beautiful Asian tattoo on her back. She was a 10. I said, man, would you ever stop this? She goes, I like sex and I like doing this. She said, you're one of the better looking men I've been with. I said, really? She goes, you got a nice trunk and she goes, I like you. Prostitutes don't kiss on the lips. She did. You know, it's so sad what we men will do to try to find love. Even though I was with her, we had an intelligent conversation. But gosh, I'd be proud to walk down the street with Africa on my arm. She was stunning, but she didn't want to leave her dark life. And that verse came to me after all that. The harlot reduces you to a loaf of bread. She was the last one I was with. I will never do it again. I got it out of the system, and God allowed me in my foolishness to explore things without some of the consequences. Don't take your chances, people. If an Africa walked into my life today and she was in love with me, I would not care what America thought. People made some dumb comment about me dating a black, I'd turn around and say, hey, excuse me, you got a problem with that? But I moved to Augusta and they're brainwashed here. They only like their music, their food. They don't like us. They don't like anything. And a woman from transportation. She had rode on my bus. That bed, right there. I liked her. She was black. She had a soft-spoken voice. She was lazy. I'd have to get up and deal with stuff, and she Wouldn't do anything. One day she was talking to me. We were driving back empty, and she goes, "Man, my neck hurts." I said, "Sounds like you need a massage." She goes, "Oh, I'd love that. Do you do that?" And I said, "I can." She said, "You know, Mike, I've dated men and they don't want to massage me." I said, "What?" I said, "Well, you're dating the wrong guy." She said, "I like to have my breast massaged and loved." And I said, I turned around and I looked at her and said, "Well, I'm very good at that." She goes, "When we get done, come out to my car." She had tinted windows and she pulled up her shirt and had me massage her. And let me tell you, but then at work, she'd act like she didn't know me. The last day of the year came and I was out washing buses and they had a celebration and food and stuff. When they dismissed us, I got my truck and went to leave. She runs out. I never see her run. "Mike, I need your phone number." I said, "I thought you had it." She goes, "I don't." She goes, "Call me later." Got home, showered. I called her and she goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing. I showered." She goes, "I did too." I said, "You want a massage, don't you?" She goes, "Yeah." We were naked on each other. And I know that's not Christ like. No, she didn't stink. She didn't have bad hygiene. I was so tired because I washed buses that I did ravish her, but I did not have intercourse. I wanted to, but I was exhausted. I have experienced a lot of sin. I was curious. I was curious, George. She loved the house. I said, "What do you want?" "Tiffany, what do you want?" I was interested in her. I would have dated her. She couldn't have handled the stigma of explaining to people why she's dating me. So when I came to work, she'd quietly say, "Hey, Mike," and walk off. You know what I found is that people live in the prisons of their own minds. I don't have any inhibitions about a race. I don't have racism. I've dated a few black women. She told me to my face, "I've never been with a white guy. I've never shown myself to a white guy." So, on a fleshly level, I feel proud because she wanted me to be sensual on her, and it was fun. There are things about women of other nationalities that I love. The exoticness of women is fascinating to me. The passionlessness, the corporateness, the cookie cutter dynamic of most of the women here is so undesirable. It's bad. And if you want to get a date with any of the women here, you got to play some little dumb game. You better like Starbucks, better like dogs, better like SUVs, better like Netflix, better like to be deeply in debt with all these monthly bills and things you absolutely have to have. They don't want to be with me because I'm a simplest. I'm like, "Hey, cut out the fat." That goes, boom. I'm not going to be a slave to bills as much as I can help it. My friend in Vermont, who had a successful landscaping company, said, "I don't know how you do it, but I respect you. Most people cannot do what you do." I said, "It takes discipline, man. You got to stop spending on crap. I said, I don't drink, don't smoke, don't do lotto tickets. Do you know how much I save right there? I haven't dated in 8 years. Do you know how much I've saved? I lost money on a truck. If I'd have dated the last years, I would have spent more than that than I paid for the truck that I didn't end up getting because it broke down. Yeah, it bothered me. In America, something's happened to people. You can't invest in people anymore. You don't get any return on it. You'd be better off investing in something else. And yet, a strange thing's happening. I'd say more women than men are coming to this channel. What the heck? How's that happening? When I had Pacific Ocean Asia, it was all men. Very few women. Now it's the other way around. What's going on? Because there's some women and there's some men and people are waking up to the craziness that's going on. That's why. People want community. I have more BITCIHNG when I cut off the chat by several women. I'm like, good grief. And I love women. I care about them. I will still take each woman on an individual basis if I'm interested and give her a chance. But even my channel show, people just want to play games. Mike, I'm going to go to Florida. I want to come by and see you. Here's my Discord. Let me know. I'll be more than happy to see you. I'm going to jump on a woman and do something to her. She can sleep in this house right on this futon. I'd go to sleep and not even touch her because I'm a gentleman. I have a channel. You think I want somebody coming back saying, oh, I was over there, Mike did this. No. But that's not who I am anyway. I remember Gia. Not Gio, Gia. She was young, 20 years old. She met me out there in Hong Kong one day, and after that whole Beth thing fell apart, she said, called me at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, Gia, what are you doing? I stayed out too late? Nah. And I can't get back into the boarding house. I said, where are you? She goes, I'm trying to get to your place. I said, are you in the taxi? She goes, yeah, I'm about to get off. I said, I'll come downstairs. Come in the alley. She's talking on the phone, comes around the corner. There you are. I said, what'd you do? She goes, I went out and drank. I said, that was dumb. I said, come on. She slept at the foot of my bed. Actually, I slept at the foot of the bed and she slept on the pillow. She faced one way, I was facing the other way. I couldn't sleep. I'm a grown man. She's hot. I'm feeling all my hormones. I didn't touch her. Next morning, she get up and she goes, thank you so much for not taking advantage of me. I said, I'm not going to do that, Gia. Trust me, if she'd have given me the word, the clothes would have been off. I'm not that kind of a guy. I want a woman that wants me. And if she don't want me, forget it. I don't understand this rape crap. I have no tolerance for it. You grown man, you're going to rape a woman, you deserve to die. No second chances. I've struggled lately. Today, I don't even want to go to work. But I'm a man and I will because that's what I do. People say, do you love your job? No, I don't love my job. It's a job. It's cursed. Is it different because you have Christian bosses? A little bit, but not entirely. People are human. People are flawed. People are hardwired into wrong everything. And the whole thing about coming into contact with Christ as Christ begins to unravel these layers of wrong beliefs and wrong behaviors, and old habits die hard in me and you. And now at 60, you talk about getting married, you're like, oh boy, love is a battlefield. Oh man. Let's sit around and compare our baggage claims to each other. No thanks. Last time I flew to Asia, I had no check-ins. It's kind of relationship I want. I want a woman where there's no more check-ins. I don't want to sit and wait at the carousel to look at all the bags come through, waiting to grab mine. And same with the relationship. I don't want a woman parading all her baggage in front of me and going, you know what? I forgot. I brought 2 carry-ons. What am I waiting here for? I'm gone. It's crazy. People get on my channel and say, you need therapy. This is my therapy. Venting of the spleen. And the side spinoff of that is awesome. There are men and women that this is the touchstone. Oh, I'm feeling that. Oh my gosh, I agree. Oh my gosh, I can relate. One man telling his story, telling the truth, and boldly standing on this. And I'm not perfect, and I don't claim to be perfect, and I don't present myself as perfect. My gosh, there's not a Christian man I know that would address this way. That's why I do it, because everybody follows everybody, and everybody plays follow the leader, follow the puppy. So one dog sniffing another dog's butt. It's the dog in front of him sniffing a pile of poo. That's the way people are. I do something different. What's wrong with you? You're the one sniffing the other dog's butt, and that dog's sniffing poo. What's wrong with you? Why are you sniffing? I'm just being me. I want to be unique. I want to stand out. That's a sad way to get attention. I'm not trying to get attention. I do it because I enjoy it. I feel free. Is that wrong? What is confidence? I don't know. You tell me. I see a lot of people hiding behind edifices and false bravado and false machismo. And I'm sorry, this woman here, I'm judging. I don't know her, but what does she have to offer a relationship? She's publicly got a YouTube channel to talk about serious issues, and she's got that on. It's off on one side. She wants to be noticed for how sexy she is. Don't go after that, guys, because she will always be trying to get other people's attention as well. That woman would be good for me for one screw. I'd get more screws at a hardware store than I could get with her. And the screws at the hardware store would be cheaper than her. And I'm sorry to be crass, but that's what it's come down to. And this gentleman at work told me the other day, he was scrolling through his Facebook looking at all the black women. And he pointed to one. He said, that one right there, she's a mess. I know her, and she's playing around with everybody. I said, you think she's cute? He said, yeah, I wouldn't mind having my turn, but that's all I want. My turn, and then that's it. Women have done it to themselves. They say men don't want to commit. You didn't make them want to, that's why. That woman's out there in public trolling. Trolling, by trolling, I mean she's got the fishing line out with the bait on it, and the boat's moving. The fish have to aggressively come after that hook. That woman wouldn't date me. She wouldn't let me see her topless. She's too good for me. People come on my channel and give me flack about wearing this top. They won't say nothing about that. And that's why I dress feminine, to prove the double standard exists. I dress feminine because I like it, but I dress feminine because I want to show people something. And dum-dums that leave shitey comments on here don't get it. They're too stupid to see that I'm satirical and I'm making a point, because they see me as dumb and needing therapy. And what they're not realizing is I'm poking the bear and making a point, and they're too stupid to get it. They're like, why would a man dress this way? Why would a woman dress that way on a public venue? Why do you think that's okay? Because you're a dirty dog pig and you got MPS, male penis syndrome. Women get a pass, but Michael can't be himself. And why are the men judging me more than the women? That's not right. And they keep coming back. And you want to talk about therapy and mental status. Okay. You need to go to the mental health facility, not me. When I see this woman, all I think of is, boy, I'd like to see that top down a little lower. That's it. I don't think, wow, she's an intellectual. Wow, I'm just thinking, I want to see these. I want these. That's it. And we got tons of that all over the internet. I find it interesting that in Revelation, with judgments that are in the implications of those judgments are bloody. Mass amounts of people killed, poverty, hunger, starvation, the oceans turning to blood, and yet they repented not. Their idolatries, their sorceries, and their sexual. Who's going to be thinking about sex with this? They are. People are so addicted to sex that during the tribulation, all they're going to be thinking about is getting whammed. I'm sorry, but if that kind of stuff was going on, my libido would be like, bye. Man, when a disaster hits, I'm not thinking about getting laid. We're living in funny times. Sex is all over the place. And that's all it is. Sex. Not making love. We got more songs about that. When a man loves a woman, do we even know what it is? The term we use is getting your D wet. That's it. We commented on a woman at work being another employee. She's 60-something. She's good looking for her age. She knows it. And I said, you and I keep looking at her, but she wouldn't date us. He goes, I know. She's more like a steel magnolia. I said, exactly. They want the attention. They want us to look at them, but that's all. They just want their attention tank full. That's it. The women do it on my channel. Not all, but a lot of them do that. They want to flirt. They want to be cute. And then jump off like a bunch of gazelle. And, that's it. Life is games and jokes. That's it. The fickleness of people. The shallowness of people. The following each other like sheeple of people. Showtime for the sheep. Yeah. Have thine own way, Lord. Have thine own way. Thou art the potter. I am the clay. Are we really? You see people doing whatever they want, even as Christians. Are we really the clay? Are you really the potter? You know what I'm learning? You know what I'm seeing? God has severely limited me, which means he has a calling for me. And for a long time, I've gotten mad at him, and I'm starting to realize he is molding you, Michael. You don't get to do everything you want. He is molding you because he's setting you apart. If I think that everybody else is getting away with stuff, which some of them are, God hasn't moved in and started squeezing on that lump of clay in their life yet. And they're not being used. They're just being in the flesh. So I need to rejoice that even though my life isn't perfect, that God is doing something. And if people on this channel are getting blessed, getting into the Word and getting closer to God, then I'm accomplishing what He wanted done. I thank God I wasn't born a woman. If I was born that woman, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be doing the same thing. Playing that one string guitar. That woman is nothing but a distraction. I don't look at her as, oh, she'd be a good wife. I look at her, she'd be a good lay. Maybe, and not even necessarily. She might be a good view, but she may lay there and do nothing. She's screaming, I want attention. I want everybody to notice my sexuality. And men, oh, they get mad at me when I talk about that. There's something wrong with you. Why are you talking about her? Oh, are you getting upset because I convicted you? Yeah, of course. Simps. Go ahead and think and imagine you're going to get a date with that. You're not. A young woman came and shook hands with me in church yesterday because Pastor asked everybody to get up and smile and shake hands. Some of the women that are stuck up, one came and shook my hand. She bent over to the lady next to me to give her a hug, and I could see the whole 9 yards. Like, dang, she's pretty. I can't get a date. And they're showing it. Then they walk around parading it. And I don't support rape. But yet women encourage rape with the eyes and have no problem with it. I don't know, man. The older I get, it just seems so funny and cockamania. Cockamania. All this teasing, all this you can't have it. You can look, but you can't touch. It just seems stupid to me. It's a curse being me. I have a sex drive. And I can't use it. Can't do anything with it. Why, God, did you give me such a high sex drive, but then I can't have a girlfriend, can't do what everybody else does because God's setting me apart? Man, is it hard. People say, you need to move. God is not going to let me move. God is fencing and hemming me in, folks. And I hate it sometimes. I want to go to heaven. I want to be delivered from me and this life. Thank you for listening. The toilet calls. Right now, that takes preeminence. You took the time to listen when you can listen to any number of YouTube. Have a great day. God bless the saints, and if you're not a saint, get saved and become one. Till next time.